and welcome to This is Metal with Tom Collier. Now, Tom, our guest today is a friend of yours, Jay Bieler, and he is the co-owner of Castle Black Radio. You want to tell us a little bit about Castle Black Radio, Jay?
Sure. Been an online DJ for over 10 years. I wanted to be a DJ as a kid, listen to FM radio. There's all those characters and everything. And
Sure.
I started working at a friend from high school has an online music TV show that showcases local music. Well, there was a guy there that worked on an online radio station. So I listened to his show and I'm like, I could do that.
Yeah.
I have a library, my own library. So I started doing that. Didn't work out. First one, second one was real iffy. I just kept locking horns at the second station. And that's where I met Metal Mom, the owner of Castle Black Radio. So she resurrected Castle Black Radio and brought me on board. So I've been station manager there since day one.
And a great name, Castle Black. I'm assuming I love, you're wearing the brand. I'm assuming Castle Black has to do with like being a metal fan.
There's something more to it. She would have to explain.
Okay.
It's black with 2 Ks.
Yeah.
Well, plus, I can tell you that Jay plays everybody. Now, I've got a friend, Eric Haynes, who is a country guy. Actually, Jay premiered his music for us. He met him. These guys are such a great radio station. I met them. What did we meet? Like 6-7 years ago when I released my first single. And these guys were one of the first radio stations to play me. And we became friends. And actually, Jay has joined Held Hostage on several occasions. He plays guitar. He came on stage as guest guitarist with us. Was dragged him on there a few times.
That was an honor and a pleasure.
Yeah, sure. We had a lot of fun. So we've got a lot of history here. But I just want to say, Jay, you support all the bands. I mean, he supports Hell, but bands that don't get airplay can reach out to Jay, and Jay will play them. He's just such a great guy. I mean, and again, he gave a country western friend of ours. He put him on their station. He's probably still playing them sometimes on there, I would think.
I play the more rocking tunes, but yes.
Yes, absolutely. But I mean, that's a great thing he needed some airplay and some exposure, and Jay stepped up and gave it to him. And I really appreciated that.
Yeah, I'm also going to be interviewing him again. Something's coming out this month or next month, and he wants to do an on-air interview to promote it. So that's coming up in a couple weeks.
Yeah, he's going to be at. We're going to actually J-Rock. We're actually going to do that's at John Parker band I talked about too.
Okay,
Parker. We're going to bring him on the week of the show, and then we'll help them. But Eric's also part of that show.
Okay. Oh wow. And so when we were growing up, guys, like you said, DJs used to be very big back in the day. And being from Los Angeles, I remember even as a kid, back in the day, you could hear everything from Led Zeppelin, Foghat, the Eagles, Tom Petty and stuff like that, all on the same radio station.
Oh, absolutely. How about Wolfman Jack? Everybody knew who he was.
Right.
Well, yeah,
you made a song about him. Clap for the Wolfman,
Tom, you're taking me back. In fact, recently I saw this classic movie, American Graffiti, which he is featured heavily in.
Yes, I love that.
Early 70s, yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are really old,
Yeah, well, we're all I think what we got in common besides, coming from that time period is, our love of music. And let me ask you, you mentioned that, Jay, that you play the guitar and that you've jumped up stage with Held Hostage. And Tom, did you ever have a band? Did you ever have the dream to be in a band or play musician? Or is it something you just kind of, learned to play the guitar and didn't think you were good enough? Or did you ever give it a shot at a musical career?
All of that.
Oh, okay.
I've always wanted to be a musician.
Yeah.
Obviously, growing up, my car was more important.
Yeah.
So I should have picked it up back then. And then finally in my 20s, a friend owed me money, but he was going to trade in a guitar. So I'm like, well, instead of giving me the money, give me the guitar. So for a while there, it was just figure stuff out myself because I couldn't afford lessons. And then, over time, hang out with more people and listen to other stuff. So I went to take lessons where all my friends from high school took lessons. He's still teaching, by the way, all these years ago. And tried to get in a few bands to play a song here and there. And I just think, like, my roommate, he was threatened by me. And I'm like, dude, you play every day. I play here and there. I'm like, I just want to play one song. And then, so I went on and then a coworker's husband started a basement band. I don't know, was it 10, 12 years ago? So I was playing with them, and there was just too many egos, and too many people wanted to be in charge, and I'm like, I just want to have fun.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I still took it seriously, but
Yeah.
I just it was just too much locking horns, and so that didn't work out. And I tried out for a couple of bands, and they just needed someone with a higher skill set than me. And then I just been dabbling here and there. I haven't sold anything. I have more gear than I should for my skill level. I got 12 guitars, and I'm okay at it.
Yeah, well, Tom, I don't imagine. I mean, you guys are friends, but I don't imagine that if he didn't have enough of a skill level to jump up on stage, play the guitar, decent enough. I don't think you'd invite him up there on stage to talk a little bit about what that was like having Jay play with you guys.
Oh, so, yeah. The first time I invited him up, he liked the song Tonight's the Night, and he used to play it on his station for us. And he came up. We had Ripper Owens there one night with him too, and then Ripper grabbed his guitar and played. But he does a lot better. You think we've done all-star jams where I brought in people from all different bands. We just got up there and he's participated in it. He holds his own up there. Don't let him fool you. He's a good guitar player. We've had a great time together. He doesn't give himself enough credit.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I got a good teacher and a good mentor here. Like my guitar teacher has done some, commercials,
sure
played with some big bands and orchestras and stuff. And then, of course, working with Tom helps out too. So
yeah, I mean, you're talking to a guy here that I wish I could even play a lick of music, but I'm more of a fan than anything, and that's how I kind of got into doing these interviews and what I do. That well, I'm not much of a musician, but I can try to do what I can to support the music I love, and right. I can see that you probably have that kind of same mindset, thinking that, well, if I couldn't make it making my own music, I can play other people's music and help promote the music world that way.
Yeah, that's one good thing with the internet radio. It's worldwide, and our main focus is the unsigned indie bands. Don't get me wrong, we still play Judas Priest, Ozzy, Black Sabbath, Iron Maiden, Megadeth, stuff like that. But I know a lot of people my age that are still in bands.
Yeah.
The second they put the music out, it's on my show.
Sure. I mean, I can't tell you how many people, Jay, contacts I made and friends of different types of musicians. I mean, I include Tom in that list because like from first time I interviewed Tom, super friendly guy, and you check out the music and the band, super talented guy. You find out he's the principal songwriter, and then from that I've had not only interviewed him, but like at one point he told me, "Hey, you mind if I bring some of my bandmates on?" Sure, why not? Because I've always had the mindset that not everybody in any given band has a story to tell. If you give them the opportunity to tell, right. I mean, for example, the drummer or the guitar player, other guitar player in Held Hostage is going to have a different perspective than Tom, because Tom, for example, he writes the bulk of the music, and so everybody's got a story to tell if you give them the opportunity to tell it.
For sure. Yeah. Even if someone grew up on the same street, their perspective is still going to be different.
Yeah. And like let me ask you, since we're on the subject of Held Hostage, what impressed you the most about the band, the first time you heard them?
Well, the first song I heard was Show Me the Way Back Home.
Yeah.
And it was actually played by one of our other DJs who's a veteran. And I heard the song, and I come from a military family. I couldn't go in for medical reasons, but
sure.
My dad, my grandfather, my brother, so we got grandfather was Army, my dad was Air Force, my brother was Marine, so it almost covers the whole base. And then my wife's father was in the Navy, so we got all, so hearing that song, and I got a lot of friends in the military, that were in Desert Storm. They're all still here. They're still with us, but it just, it's just one of the things. It's like, military people are ostracized. They're just doing the commander in chief's orders. You can't blame them for that. And, they're not being taken care of properly. Like, they should have the best health care. They should have better health care than the president, in my opinion.
Sure. Yeah.
But so hearing that song and then listening to the whole album, I'm like, wow, there's more to this. I mean, yes, that's a great song, standalone there. But then the other songs, like, wow, this stuff's rocks. And when I'm playing stuff, I want to rock. So
I mean, what's quite impressed with me about a band like Held Hostage is, like just off their latest album, they had for any like, especially even an established metal band, it's very hard to get your music even one song a Grammy nomination. They had more than one song nominated for a Grammy. They had, um, you know, quite a few songs off the same album chart. We're on the Billboard chart, which again is quite a hefty task to accomplish. Right. Yeah.
It ended up 18 weeks on the Billboard charts, and 9 out of 12 songs on the album charted on the Billboard. We were shocked. And the radio publicist.
Well, that's an accomplishment in itself to have that many charting.
Yeah, that's what he said. They charted in the top 500. The radio publicist, he said, wait till you see the report this week. He texted me on the way. He's like, you have 7 songs in the top 500. I was like,
wow, what? Quite impressive. I mean, even some of the major mainstream metal bands from the 80s have never accomplished that. So that's quite a task. I'm going to throw it to you now, Tom, and take it away and tell us anything you want about Jay, or your friendship with him over the years.
Well, I know he likes to drink beer. Now, okay.
There you go.
I'm Jay Beer Metal.
Yes, absolutely. We did a concert in Syracuse, and afterwards we all stayed in a hotel and we had a blast. And when Ripper was
there, we were up late that night.
Oh, we were up late, and I had to go to work the next day. I had to take off. I took an appointment. I was a hurting unit, but Jay, just so you know, we're getting ready to announce a big concert November 11th in Syracuse at Sharky's. It's a Saturday night. It's a Veterans Day. It's a veterans concert. We're bringing on our good friends Scars and Stripes are going to be there. They're going to do a Metallica tribute that night. Okay. Held Hostage is going to be doing the Held Hostage. Plus, we got some special stuff going on too. We're going to be bringing another special
let me
guest.
see if I'm free that weekend and start planning now.
So let me ask, have you ever had Jay come on stage and announce you guys?
He always. That's
what I did first.
Yes,
I did announcing first, and then he's like, "Hey, maybe you should play guitar too."
And I mean, like when you jump up on stage with a guitar, you ever have people in the audience, "Hey, is he in the band or what's going on?"
He usually tells who I am, so because some people know me, some people don't, obviously, because I'm not local, but I go up there often enough. Some people know who I am.
So what do you enjoy the most about what you do, Jay? I mean, you're a co-owner, and then also I know you're a program director, so obviously you're in charge of programming. Like you said, a lot of it's obviously your own collection, but what have you enjoyed the most about doing this?
It's because all those years back in the day, those things people like, oh, if you hang by the backstage door, you'll meet somebody or whatever. I don't know how many times I sat out there for hours and never met anybody.
Yeah.
Or, you have that friend of a friend going, oh, I'll get passes, dude, just show up. And then you can't find the person at the show.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So it's like now, luckily, a lot of the bigger bands are playing smaller venues and there's no place to hide.
Yeah.
The green room is the dry storage closet in the back. Yeah. So they'd rather just stand by the bar and talk to their fans than sit in a closet for an hour. So I've met a lot of people. I've made a lot of friends. And just like talking with Tom, he's told other bands about us. We play those bands. Those bands have told, like, for lack of a better example, I found this I'm a music reseller also. I used to do record shows. So I buy, sell, trade. Well, I pick up stuff and play it on my show. I'm like, oh, I don't know what this is. Let me play this.
Yeah.
Well, this was a obscure record label. There's like, oh, these two thrash band, this band versus that band. Well, I liked them. I played them. And I tagged this band on Facebook called Phantom Witch from California. And they're like, that's not us. But we contacted that band when we started to see if we could take the name since they quit, they were done, and they gave us the blessing. So here's our album. So I started playing the proper one, and they're like, hey, you'll like our friends. What the name of the band? Cultural Warfare down the street. Yeah. I've been playing them now, and they just keep referring, or like I'll get a message every night. Hey, so and so in this band said, if I sent you some music, you'd play it. I'm like, here's my email, send it.
Yeah, and sometimes it's all about networking and making those contacts, and Tom's a great example of that because like I said, I've interviewed him a number of times, and whenever I need somebody looking to interview, I could reach out to him. Hey, Tom, you want to do a new interview or something? Oh, sure. And then so I used to do this with another co-host, but he was no longer able to do the show, and so we decided we were going to carry on with the new host, and I had about 3 people kind of I thought that could be the new co-host. Tom was the first one I asked, to be honest, and I'm glad he accepted, because this has been a lot of fun to do this with him. But again, if I never made that initial concept, we wouldn't be doing this now, or contact, I should say. Yeah.
Yeah, I've watched an episode or two. I've enjoyed what you guys have done so far. So
Yeah, yeah, and what's really fun that I agree with Tom is like, hey, let's not just have musicians on. Like we had Scott Braun, a great rock photographer, and we're having you, and he's like, maybe one day we'll have a guy that
yeah, I've met
is a
him.
roadie or
He's a nice
something.
guy.
Yeah, so we're having all different types of guests, and I that's what I've enjoyed about doing it with Tom so far.
Yeah, I've gotten some pointers from Scott.
Yeah,
So
Scott's
I
great guy.
also dabble in photography, but I don't do it often enough to remember what button
Yeah.
does what. So I need help.
So like, I'm assuming you don't just do this for fun, but have you found a way to make money at this, Jay?
You're funny.
Well, yeah, that's why I asked.
No, it's all for the love of music. I guess most of it also stems. My parents always had the radio on in the
Yeah,
background all day long, all day night. Even if we were in the other room watching TV, the stereo was on.
yeah,
I think it was partially because my mom had tinnitus, and so do I. So you need something to. So you need better white noise to wash out the white noise, and
okay, yeah.
it's the love of music. I mean,
I'm with you. I'm with
it's
you.
we with some of the connections I've made, and even with Tom, I personally, some of the other DJs, and of course Sandra, because Sandra knows more people than most people
Yeah,
combined. She's been doing it since the '90s. She used to do Michigan Death Fest. That
yeah.
was all her. But I forgot where I was going with this.
I was asking if you found a way to make money with this, because I kind of have the
Oh
same.
no, it's for the love of music and to help bands out, and what I consider payment is making friends with Tom,
Yeah,
Tim
yeah,
Owens, Harry the Tyrant Conklin, Sean Peck. Like when I first interviewed Sean Peck, he was on tour with Cage,
yeah,
and we talked via Facebook, but I figured out,
yeah,
and I said, "Oh, let's do an interview at the show." I like to do them in person. I don't like to do them over the phone, or
yeah, yeah.
So I'm going to be at the show. Give me 5-10 minutes. Preferably more than that, but if that's all you got, I'll take it. And second I walked in the door, he knew who I was. He waved me down, called me over, we talked before the interview just to say, how is it going to go? Where
Yeah,
are we
yeah,
going to do it? And it was like, wow. I was like, this is great that, because most people are like, who are you?
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah,
but I
yeah.
walked in the door and he's like, from like across the room, he's, flagging me down. I'm like, wow. He looked at my picture on my Facebook from the message and goes, oh, I need to know what this guy looks like when I go to the venue. So I thought that was kind of cool. So.
Yeah, yeah. I have that same story as far as like a lot of people. I have as far as to pay the bills. I have a day job that I go to. I do
Mhm.
this on my off time. In fact, I had a friend or two ask me, "Well, hey, do you get paid for all those interviews?" Well, no. Well, why do you do it then? Well, you know what? A couple reasons. Like you said, I have fun. It gives me something to do in my off time. I used to have people like when they'd send me probably like you. Hey, I got a new CD. If I send you a CD, would you review it? Would you write up a review? In the old days, that's what we did, is write up a review. Well, I got this other show called the Big Bang Review Show, where I'm kind of going on screen, and we do like 4 or 5 different parts on a specific album. Like maybe we'll talk about in part one, the songs or the musicianship or the packaging, and then part two will be something else until
Okay,
you get like about
that
30
sounds interesting.
minutes. And part of the reason we thought of this is it's an interesting way to review albums and talk about it specifically. And it's much easier than writing it up. And then people, their attention span, from what you're lucky they even watch a whole music video.
But it's good that you deconstruct it like that, because if you have several people,
Yeah,
they're going to notice different nuances in the artwork and the music.
yeah,
And depending on if they're a musician, you'll notice different things. Like now that I've, kind of back into it playing with Tom, when I listen to music now, I'm like, I never noticed that before.
yeah, yeah.
Like, I always thought the bass line was just, they're just playing the root note to the chord. And now I'm listening, it's like, I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. There's like, plus it also helps that I finally have a vehicle with a Bose sound system in it, so it helps me
Okay.
hear it better. So
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and again, doing stuff like what we do, another big aspect as far as networking is the publicist is very important. I mean, I got this one publicist that I've been working with since back in the day when I first started doing these interviews, and he's still giving me he's given me a lot of great interviews, like Jim Crean's went over the years, and so from time to time I'm able to interview Jim. We're going to be doing an interview with him next week, and he's always super friendly, and that's the fun part is you're a fan of some of these guys, and then I haven't maybe met Jim Cream, but I've interviewed him 2 or 3 times. Always been super nice and friendly, and so that makes it fun too. I've only had a few bad encounters with people, but we don't need to get into that. I try to I concentrate on the good, if you know what I mean.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I had the ultimate experience a couple of years ago. It's actually my first interview, because I only try to interview bands that I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
I don't have a set of questions. I'll go on their Wikipedia
Yeah.
page,
Yeah.
website, do some research. Obviously, if I already know the band, the research is already up here.
Yeah.
But I can't just, I've never heard your music.
Sure.
You send me one song and you want an interview. I can't do that. Well, I go to interview Unleash the Archers, a power metal band out of Canada with a female singer at Jabberjaws in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and this is on a Friday.
Okay.
And I've been playing their music on 3 stations and everything, so it was like, oh, it was no big deal. They knew who I was and everything. So I'm interviewing them before the show, in between the opening acts, and at the end of the show, I go, "Hey, if I have more questions, can I, continue the interview tomorrow?" They're like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah. Yeah.
"I'm seeing you in Delaware tomorrow night. I'm seeing you 2 days in a row." They're like, "What?" They're like, "Where do you live?" I go, "My house is almost dead center from this venue to the next
Okay.
venue. It's
Yeah.
about an
Yeah.
hour from here."
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay."
Sure.
So I get my business card and everything, and I'm driving home. It's about 2:30 in the morning. I get a text message from Grant, the guitar player. He's like, "They didn't give us our hotel room. Can we crash at your house?"
Uh,
Oh, Jesus.
And I'm like, looking at my brother-in-law, I'm like, "What am I gonna do?"
I don't know you.
It's like, I'm like, um, Brandy,
Yeah.
your sister and my wife, she's not. My brother-in-law looked right at me. He goes, "I'll take care of it." Well, I mean, I was driving, so he had
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
respond. He goes, "I'll tell him yes." And when we get home, he goes, because we both know how my wife is. We had to do the flight of the Bumblebee because everything has to be a certain way to have guests.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
go upstairs, open the door. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, she's like, "What did you do?" I'm like, "Oh, there's going to be 6 people here in about an hour. Just go back to sleep."
So, yeah. Yeah. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Yeah.
So we had everybody, all the couches were full, the recliners were
Yeah.
full. 2 of them slept underneath the piano. I got a baby grand piano. They had a great time. The next day, we're just hanging out, made breakfast for them, and it was great just to hang out with one of my favorite bands at my house. But I made sure I got a picture of them and me on my front porch before they left.
Yeah. You'll
I
always
needed
remember
proof
Yeah.
that they were at my house.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they didn't want to leave.
Wow. Wow.
Grant was picking up my guitars. He's like, "Oh, it's like I almost traded that guitar that Ripper played to
Wow.
him because he has an Ibanez signature deal,
Wow.
and he can only play Ibanez on stage, and he needed another guitar, and we were this close to making a deal, but I couldn't come up with the money on time."
Wow.
So,
Wow. That's a great story, and it kind of gives me a flashback because when I first started doing these interviews, Jay, I did kind of do it the old school way, and okay, I'm going to write all the questions down. I was like so proud of myself. But what I kind of came to find out when you listen back to some of that stuff, when you're first learning how to do this, is it sounded kind of robotic. So I got it. My way I do it now is kind of like we're doing today, kind of having a conversation, back and forth conversation, like 2 old friends. Even though I don't know you that well, I know a little bit about you through Tom, and I was able to go on the internet and find the rest out. And so that way when we do talk, I know enough about you to ask some questions, and then hopefully during the conversation, it's going to lead to other questions.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't necessarily like. I might write some questions that I need answers to,
Yeah.
and then some ideas.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just write comments. Like I want to make sure I make this comment during the interview,
Yeah.
and then but I pay attention let's say, oh, tell me about your first album, and they start talking about their second album.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I'm not going to ask about the second album because they already talked about it.
Yeah.
I've heard so many people, they're so rigid with their questions that the band's like, we answered that 15 minutes ago. What?
Or a lot of times a publicist or PR person goes over with them, like they almost have it verbatim, kind of like a politician they're talking with.
So, I mean, I have some questions I ask everybody, just kind of
Yeah.
move the words around kind of thing. And like nowadays, it's like, how did lockdown affect your band?
Yeah.
Did you guys keep away from each other, or did you just focus
Yeah.
on making new music? So, I mean, that's a valid question still.
Yeah.
So,
Like a real great example of that is again, some of these people we bring on, Tom is actually friends with, and it's like a great example is Ross the Boss, and he was telling me this story about Ross told him about years ago when he was just starting out in music business. He was also a limo driver, and Ross told him this great story about he was pumping gas, and while he was at the gas station, the limo was stolen, and so like during the interview,
it was wintertime. It was running.
Yeah.
He didn't turn it off. So a guy jumped in as soon as he pulled the gas hose out. Guy jumped in and took off, and Ross had him by the throat trying to tackle him. Ross called me right after. He called me right after it happened. He goes, "You're not going to believe. I figured they stole my limousine."
wow.
So Jay, Tom tells me this story, and I'm like, you can't make this up. And so Tom also had a great idea. Hey, when we have some of these guests on, let's ask them to kind of, hey, what's something your fans don't really know about? Kind of try to get some trivia. So I asked that question, and Ross gave some other story, and then Tom kind of interjects, "Hey, Ross, tell that story about when you were a limo driver and your limo got stolen." So again, he kind of gives me this thing to ask, and we're prepared. Yeah.
Well, I got something along the same lines for that.
Let's hear it. Yeah.
Tom, I'll need your help. The other guitar player from Manowar, my wife dated his son in high school.
Wow.
Up in
we're all connected somehow.
North Syracuse.
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
We're all connected somehow. Absolutely. Yeah. It's
so yeah.
Ross was the original, then Ross left the band.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's been a crazy ride. I mean, I was lucky enough to tour with them on their Fighting the World and the World's Loudest Band tour. So it's been really cool. Ross has been a good friend, and I'm just happy to see him doing so well. I mean, he still goes to Europe, and 100,000 people are singing his songs.
Oh, yeah.
He's heading over to the Dictators with Albert Bouchard, who we all know. Hey, there you go.
Yeah,
But
so,
no, I'm happy for people. Go ahead.
So Jay, I was going to ask, how can people find out more about Castle Black? Do you have a website they can go to?
CastleBlackRadio.com, 2 Ks. We're also on Facebook. We have a radio station page. There's a group page.
Yeah.
Almost every DJ has their own DJ page.
Yeah.
So you could go on the website and see the DJ's names and then find us all on Facebook.
Oh, great.
I mean, if you guys want them, I could send you the links to all of them and you could post them somewhere.
That would be cool if you get a chance.
Post them on our page. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you brought up a great point as far as I remember when I first started doing these bands. I mean, it was done the old school way where they used to send you a CD in the mail to check out. Usually the record company or the PR person. Nowadays, most times they'll send you a link. But oftentimes what I do, like especially bands that I know very little bit about, you can go on YouTube, and almost every band has their album up on YouTube, and it is a great way to research bands, at least. So when I'm interviewing a band or getting to know them for the first time, I can ask them about a specific song. Like we did an interview a few weeks ago with the band Hurricane. They're coming back after 20 years, and like Tom had heard, like a lot of people have heard of the band, but he's like, I'm going to go on YouTube and check out some of their music. He was prepared because he did that,
Yeah, the only music video I have is Tom's got it when I was on stage with him.
Well, that's going on eBay at some point. We're going to sell that for a lot of money.
Okay.
I got a question for you, Jay, real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
What is the only band that more than one DJ from Castle Black has played with? There must be a band out there.
What's that?
The DJs from Castle Black. I know a band that two separate DJs from Castle Black joined them on stage. You know what that band is?
That would be you.
Yeah, at one point we had
I played on one song and Christy Crimson V sang on another song.
Sang another song, same night though.
Took some coaching to get her up there though.
Yeah, so we just have a lot of fun when we're playing out. But these guys are such good people that we're just so happy to be affiliated with Castle Black.
Yeah. And Jay, what we're gonna let you in on a little secret here. That Tom and his band held hostage on their next album. They're in the process of writing a theme song for this show that we're doing right now.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Can I play rhythm guitar on it?
You know what?
He's
If
the
you
man to
want,
talk to.
you're more than welcome to join us in the studio. You're more than welcome.
Just give me a fair warning.
Definitely,
Yeah.
you've got it right now. You've been warned.
Yeah.
Well, if give me, because I mean I have relatives up there, so it's easy for me to come up, and it doesn't cost me to stay anything. It's just the gas.
Wow.
But I just need some time to say, hey, to work. Hey, I'm taking a long weekend, or I need a day off in the middle of the week or something.
Well, definitely, we'll have you plan.
So don't say, don't be like, oh, it's tomorrow.
I was going to say, can you be here at 9 o'clock in the morning?
Because I've had some people do that to me, and I'm like, you realize I've got a day job.
Yeah.
I'm a homeowner. I'm the breadwinner. I can't just pick up and
Well, that's right. We found out you're running a bed and breakfast now, so we're looking forward to coming down and hanging, man. All of us.
Hey, there you go. Hey, Jay, you got a new business for the bands, a place to stay.
I will forewarn you. I'm in the process of booking an up and coming band that I have interviewed on my show to play me and my friend's birthday party soon. We haven't picked a date yet, but it's going to be an invitation only. Because obviously we have to let the band and them invite their people as well. Yeah. So when it's all figured out, it'll be weeks in advance. You guys are invited if you want to make the trip.
Okay, that's great. And I love your the stuff in the background there, those posters.
Man cave.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, see, I saw your first episode and I called Tom like right after the first episode. I'm like, you got to do something about your background, Tom.
I know.
Yeah.
So he fixed it, and I'm like, you know what? I've got several walls. I'm like, which one do I want to sit in front of? So I mean, we got I got some Dio back here.
Love Ronnie, yeah. Ronnie James Dio, never go wrong.
I got a whole tribute wall to Ronnie over there. Can you see it?
I love that. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Ronnie was definitely the man. Well, Jay, I want to thank you for taking time to do this. You're welcome to come back anytime. This interview will probably be going up in about 2.5 weeks. We got
just let me know so I can promote it and put it on.
Yeah, we'll definitely let you know.
My DJ page, Castle Black Radio, the whole 9.
Yeah, and what I love about these Zoom interviews is each one kind of has its own personality because depending on who you're talking to, where they're coming from, it's just a lot of fun. So thanks for doing this, Tom. He was a great guest to have. I'll be talking to you guys again real soon. So take care.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.